right. Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Nicole, and welcome back to our English class. I hope you had a great weekend. Now, as you can see on the screen, we are going to talk about sentence stress for today's session. Last weekend, on our previous sessions, we focused on word stress, right? We focused on how to pronounce long words like responsibility, innovation, solution. So we focus on that, how to pronounce those words with clarity and rhythm. Now you learned where to place emphasis inside a word to make your speech clearer and more natural, right? So today we will zoom out because now we are not just speaking words, we are speaking thoughts. And when you say a full sentence, only certain words rise up. So the rest stay softer like background music. That's what we call again sentence stress. So here it's not about just, saying how to call that? It's not just about saying every word loudly. It's about choosing which ones carry meaning and which one carry grammar. So when I say I want to drink some coffee, notice how the verbs and the noun get the stress. Not the words to, not the word to or some. No, because those are function words as we have discussed on our previous sessions. And usually with function words, they are smaller. They are considered as supporting words. So your voice rises on the words that matter, which is what we call content, usually content words, which we also have discussed on our previous sessions. So that's the heart of English rhythm, a mix of strong beats and light ones, just like music. Okay? Today, as much as possible, we will unpack that and we will ask which words deserve the spotlight, how does stress affect emotion, and what happens if we stress the wrong word. And of course, we will practice not just through drills, but through real life scenes where sentence stress changes what we say and how we say it. So, buckle up. Today's not about memorizing. It is about feeling the beat of English from sentence to sentence, speaker to speaker. So let's find your voice, not just by word, but thought by thought. Okay? Ready to step in? Are we ready to go? Because very good. Because we are, of course, we're going to start right away. Okay? Let us go to the next slide. Moment. Okay. That is on sentence stress. So again, on our previous sessions, we have spent time learning how to pronounce individual words with accuracy, no? Where the stress goes in words in content words like ability, discussion, information, no, and many other like that. You've seen how suffixes guide pronunciation and you've done the work to speak clearly and confidently. So, here now we're going beyond that since we're already zooming out from the microscope and looking at the full picture at how sentences themselves are shaped by not just by grammar but by sound. So, we are going to have sentence stress here. Now, sentence stress is the reason we understand emotion, we focus, and even intent in speech. So it's how we know what matters in a message. It's what makes someone sound fluent, not just grammatically correct, but natural. And it's what gives your English that musical quality you hear in confident speakers. I'm sorry for that. Okay? So, as mentioned here, sentence stress refers to the pattern of emphasis placed on particular words within a sentence during natural speech. That's how do you call that? That is on sentence stress. Okay, sorry. Now, also, Sentence stress refers to the pattern of emphasis placed on particular words within a sentence during how do you call it, natural speech. Okay? Unlike word stress, which is fixed within words, sentence stress is fluid. It depends on meaning, it depends on focus, context, emotion, and grammar. So, as mentioned here, um, when we talk about word stress, it is usually fixed if we talk about the pronunciation of the word stress, especially uh, pronunciation of words, and especially looking at its stress. Okay, it's usually fixed within the words, but it's different when it comes to sentences because sentences um sentences it greatly considers the sentence all in all, like its focus, and its focus of the focus of the sentence, like what are you trying to convey, what are the words included, what emotions do you want to convey from your message, the grammar and everything else. Okay, so it just depends on those things. And of course, that's why we consider sentence stress as fluid, as flexible. It is not fixed. Okay? It is not fixed. So here, say for example, what I'm talking about when we say the stress in a sentence is not always fixed. For example, a sentence, I didn't say he stole the phone. I'm sorry, excuse me. Okay? I didn't say he stole the phone. Let's try to focus or put the stress on the word stole. I didn't say he stole the phone. Okay? That's our focus. That's why we stress on the word stole. We're trying to put highlight on the word or the act of stealing. Okay? Now try it again. But another part of the sentence is highlighted. I didn't say he stole the phone. Okay? Now here I put the stress on the word he, so I'm trying to say that I did not say he stole the phone. He could be or he could not be. Okay? But someone still still steal the phone. It's just that I am contemplating if it was him or another person. That's the message that is trying to convey in that sentence. Okay, there's so many way to put stress in a sentence. Let's use the same sentence in another, how do you call that, another point of emphasis. I didn't say he stole the phone. So you are referring to the act of saying, the act of telling you did not do that. Okay? Now, that's how it is. That's why sentence stress is really considered as fluid in a way that we can decide which part of the sentences are put, how do you call that, are given emphasis or are given stress. Okay? And of course, we need to consider your intention. How do you want it to be? Okay? All right. So that's on sentence stress. Now, from the examples that I've mentioned, no, they have the same sentence, but they differ in how you pronounce these words, how you talk about it. And yes, each version of the sentence has a different shade of meaning just from moving the stress. So today's goal is again not to memorize rules. Of course, if you can do that, I'm not stopping you. But if you have students who are really willing to do that by themselves, then that's good. And of course, don't totally rely on what they can do, but you should always be there to facilitate. Okay? All right. So, no memorization of rules. It's just, what I want you is to listen differently. Okay? to feel the rhythm, and to, of course, trust your voice. Because when you understand how sentence stress works, you don't just say the sentence, you own it. Okay? Well, try real world scenes. For example, we'll act out conversations, we'll shift stress and see how it changes everything. And by the end of the lesson, you'll have a stronger, more natural video voice, not just in pronunciation but in presence. So let's make your English speaking volumes, not just words. Okay? What is sentence stress and why does it matter? So let's try to go over that one. Okay? Now let's take a closer look at the image. It's simple, but it tells us about how English actually works when we speak it. The first point says English is stress timed, not syllable timed. So, meaning, you know, stress time, what does that mean? Of course, in some languages like Japanese or French, each syllable gets more or less the same time and weight. But in English, sorry for that. But in English, time moves differently. No, that's why I mentioned or put here that English is stress timed instead of, how do you call that, syllable timed. Okay, we focus on stress, not syllable, because again, not every syllable is considered as something that should be highlighted, something that should be put, that's something that we should be putting a stress on. There's just some parts of the word or even the sentence, no, that we will be putting some stress on because it deserves that spotlight, it deserves that emphasis, no. So that means we don't measure time by syllables here. When it comes to English language, we measure it by beats or by stress. Now, these beats are the stressed words, the ones that carry the main meaning. Let me show you. Say the sentence out loud slowly. I cannot. Wait. I'm gonna try to. What do you call that? Okay. Let me type it in for you for a moment. Should I just remove it? Okay. The sentence is this one. Uh, I want. Can you see it? I want to go to the store. Okay, that's the sentence. Let me just, use and now, how do you call that? I duplicated it. Let me just do that. Okay. Oh no. I want to go to the store. This is our sentence. Now again, now again, let's try to say this sentence again. I want to go to the store. Again, but this time we'll say it with natural English rhythm. Okay? I want to go to the store. Okay. Can you hear the difference? I want to go to the store. Okay. The sentence has 7 syllables, right? But only 3 of them are stressed. What are these? Want. What are things? Go. And of course, store. So the rest, the one that is not underlined, I to still two, and those are, how do you call that, the rest, they are they shrink, they speed up, they are weaker. Basically, that's that. Okay, that's what we mean by English being stress timed. We move from one strong beat to the next and squeeze the other words around them. No, it's not about perfection, it's about flow. So the second point, that's go back to the second point here. In English, some words carry stress, which is strong. Others don't, which is weak. So um, that's the second, second something that we need to also highlight that, because she just basically says here that some words are strong. Excuse me. Again, what this point, no, the second point is trying to say is that some words are strong, some words are weak. Okay. All right. Um, other things that we need to do. Okay. All right. Take a good look at this sentence. I want to go to the market. Can you feel the pulse? I want to go to the market. Now, this is a perfect example of sentence stress in action. We don't say every word with equal force because of course, it would sound monotonous, robotic, boring if every word is equally forced to pronounce. Okay. Instead, here we make it, a highlight to really visit the Philippines. Okay. We highlight just a few, the ones that carry the meaning. In this case, want, go, and market. So these are our content words, our nouns, verbs, adjectives, adverbs, the words into the given um area. It does not have one. Okay. So that's that for the sentence. Let's focus on this one. The first sentence. Okay. All right. For a moment. Okay. So again, this is a sentence, the one highlighted. I want to go to the market. This is a perfect example of sentence stress in action. We don't say every word with equal force, of course, because again, it would sound robotic. It would sound very simple, very boring if every syllable is, how do you call that? Not every syllable, but every word in the sentence is highlighted. Okay? We cannot highlight someone if there's no comparison, right? So that's that. So these are the one you see on your screen with capital letters. I want go market. This is a perfect example of sentence stress in action. We don't say every word with equal force, no? Instead, we highlight just a few, the ones that really carry the meaning. Okay? In this case, again, want to go and market. So these are our content words. It could either be nouns, it could either be verbs, adjectives, adverbs, the words that give our sentences life. Okay? Now notice the smaller words in between. To, the, they are function words, prepositions, articles. Now helping verbs, pronouns, they support it. They support the structure. Okay? All right. Okay. So that's on that one. Function words are to, the. No, we say them quickly as I've mentioned earlier. They don't get in the way, of course. They would instead help the strong words stand out. Okay? Because there's a comparison, a little comparison. So the other one would be really highlighted well. Okay? All right. So these words that are usually not highlighted, okay, like to and the, these are, how do you call that? These are what we call function words, okay? Prepositions, articles, helping vocals, pronounce the weekend, okay? That's that. So notice that one, no? That's the rhythm of English we say. I want to go to the market. Strong, weak, 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 strong. Okay. All right. That's that. Okay. So that's the rhythm of English. Strong, weak, strong, weak, strong. Usually. Okay. Not every time. Now let's try the demotic version to contrast. Um, let's have the first version for now. I want to go to the market. What about the second version? I want to go to the market. Or I want to go to the market. Something like that. No? It sounds unnatural, right? It is stiff, it is flat, it is the musical version of walking with no bounce. No? And English, when spoken naturally, it lives in that bounce. So today we're practicing learning the beat and of course getting to know more. Again, let's try to go back and tap on content words which are stressed, they rise, they matter. That's content words. For function words, they are unstressed, like they soften, they flow. Okay? And once you master the beat, you'll speak not only more fluently, but with no more emotion, no more energy, as well as impact. Right? So that's that. Okay? All right. After this, we have this one for a moment. Okay. So let's slow down and sit with this slide for a moment because what you're looking at here is more than grammar, it's the rhythmic backbone of English conversation. Okay? All right. Rule number one, content words is equal to stressed. So stress, content, words. So that's that. Think about it. When you are listening to someone speak in English on a movie screen, no? It could be in a movie screen, in a movie, in an airport announcement, or during a TED talk. No, those kind of one-way communication contexts, what makes their message stick? What do you think? What do you think? How their message stick? What makes it? What makes it engaging to the listeners? What makes it, yeah, engaging to the customer in a way that you will really listen? No? What do you think? Well, it is because it's not that every word is loud or emphasized. It's that the right words, how do you call that? Is that the right words are stressed. Okay? The words that carry the message, that carry the emotion and the direction. So those kind of words. That's what this let's let's try to move on to this one. Okay. So that's what this table shows us, content words, the words we naturally stress when we speak. So these are the words that carry the core meaning of the sentence. These are words that matter the most. Okay? Why do you think so? Because it can include it doesn't include all the time, but it can include content words referring to the name of the first person, the place or idea we're talking about, describing what's happening, adding color and context, or ask the big questions that move conversations forward. So let's look at each row in this chart as more than a category. Let's treat it as a tool for clear not international, but intentional speech. Okay? All right. All right, let's start with nouns. Nouns, as we know it, it includes, I'm sorry, it functions by as naming people, naming places, naming things or ideas. That's on, how do you call this one? That's on, of course, content words. Okay, specifically nouns. So these words are the heart of every sentence. They name the subject, the object, the topic. That's why we stress them. So, for example, we say, we'll meet at the restaurant. The event was cancelled. Even without a full sentence, the message feels comfortable because the noun carries so much meaning. Okay? All right. That's on nouns, right? Okay. Another is sentence example would be the event was canceled. As simple as that. We're referring to event here. So even without the full sentence, the message feels complete because the noun carries so much meaning. Okay? All right. That's a noun. Let's move on to main verbs. Can you see it well? Now, the typical function is that it describes actions or states. Okay? That's on main verbs. Um, Typical function is just, to describe the main action. Okay? For a moment. So that's on main verbs, right? We try to describe the main action. We understand that's the function of verbs, that's the role of verbs. But here, when it comes to sentence stress, main verbs, these are the words to tell us what's happening. If a noun is the actor, the verb is the performance. Okay, that's why we say I work in the city or they enjoyed the show. We put emphasis in there. We stress these because they give the sentence motion, they give the sentence movement, and especially life. Okay, that's on main verb. Let's continue with an example. Okay, all right, that's an adjective. So here, when it comes to adjectives, we want to tell us what kind of noun it is. Okay, all right. Okay, okay. So, when it comes to adjectives, adjectives are considered as the color of the world. They help us create images, shape opinions, and everything else. No, it of course it add emotion. So in conversation, we lift them because they change the way we understand the noun. Like she gave a beautiful performance, or it's a creative idea. The stress highlights their emotional or descriptive attempt. Okay. All right, that's that. Okay. The stress highlights their emotional or descriptive weight. If such words as beautiful, creative used in the sentence. Okay, it's more on emotional and descriptive weight or impact. All right, that's on how do you call this one? Main verbs. Not main verbs, but adjectives. And after adjectives, we have how do you call that? For a moment. That is on adverbs. So we modify adverbs, adjectives, or other adverbs here. We know that rule. That's the rule for adverbs. Now, adverbs are often overlooked, but they can carry key details. They answer questions like how did it happen, how often, where, and what that means. They deserve a little lift in speech. So try saying he left quietly. They arrive regularly. So when it's said clearly, they add richness and rhythm to your messages. Okay? And of course, that's for the adverbs. Now let's move on to question words. Okay? All right. That's on question words. So we are very familiar with the questions, right? Like what, who, when, how, where, why, no? So with that in mind, our function is to ask for specific information. Okay, that's the task. And finally, not finally, but that's how do you call that? That's adverbs. Okay, they they add richness and rhythm to your message. So that's the how do you call that? That's the point of that adverbs. But I'm focusing more on question words here. So that's why I mentioned what, who, when, how, why, where. Okay. So you ask for specific information, and that's how you really survive in this particular program or any kind of thing similar to this. Okay. So You ask for specific information. And finally, these little powerhouses question words, direct the conversation. They create opponents. They are strong. Where you shall you all go? Okay, each one of is a spotlight that calls for a response. So we must see it. We must trust it. Okay. All right. Okay. That's that. Let's have an example. What teacher? What did you say? Or where are we going? So each one is a spotlight that calls for a response to me. Okay? All right. That's that. That's the game. I think I do not really understand. I've looked into it and I still don't understand even with some tutorials. Okay? That's good for them. All right. Now, that's content words. So when you build a sentence, think about which words to build, which words build the meaning. So not just like which words are there. If the word names something, it describes something or carries emotion. It's a likely in how do you call that content? Okay, all right, that's that. So think of like a speaker. We when you build a stance, thinking about words building the meaning, not just words, which are totally fine. And word as it is, no, if you've noticed, um, that's on the stressed word, as you see on that. Okay, all right. So when you build up a sentence, think about your words. Okay, all right. The that is the slowly the effect of that. So, when you build a sentence, everyone, think about which parts, which parts solves, evidence into that. Okay. All right. So not just how do you call that? So when you build a sentence, think about which words build the meaning, not just words are there. No, just because we want to put it. So if the word names something, describes something of mine. For first thing that comes to mind is how do you call that? What is the word again? Maybe let's have reading something like that. No, so building a sentence is really not easy, especially when it comes to reading. We want to really be reminded that this is the wedding of something, of someone, and someone. So try to say this out. Say this sentence slowly, okay? All right. So, how do you call that? It's likely a content word and it's likely going to be stressed because it's content words, okay? So, try this out for us. Let's have that one. Okay? All right. So, not just which likely moves, but we secretly, not secretly, but we're able to really click that much. And it's almost, her, his battery, I mean. Okay? All right. We're going to meet a friend at a new restaurant. So let's try to say it again with proper class. We are going to meet a friend at a new restaurant. Okay? Hear the rhythm? Okay, that's the candidates for Big Four. Okay? All right. So that's the sentence again is we are going to meet a friend at a new restaurant. Sorry, at a new restaurant. Okay? That's that. Okay. So we're going to meet a new friend. A friend we're going to meet a friend at a new restaurant. So the sentence level fluency is there, and of course, it should be right here in this chart. Okay, what can you say, everyone? Are we following so far? Are we? Again, content words are words that carry one's meaning in politician. How about in politician? No, there must be so many of them, plenty of them with the same situation. Okay, all right, that's that. Okay, all right. Let's look closely at these five sentences on the screen. Each one is doing more than just delivering, information. It's carrying a rhythm. It balances ego. Okay. Actually, what here when it comes to this, let's have this one. Since we've already talked about content words, and again, content words are words that carry the core meaning of the sentence. Content words are ones that is usually or that are usually highlighted in the sentence, or where we put the stress on. No, it's usually on the content words. So we've mentioned that it differs, no, depending on the part of speech. It could be a noun where we try to name people, place, things, or ideas. That's a noun. We understand that. We understand its functionality, right? After noun, we also talked about main verbs. Of course, we understand it describe actions or states. Okay. And third is adjectives. Of course, we're not going to really um wear something that we wore on that particular context. We try to just go in between. No, here in the adjectives part, we understand that we modify nouns. No, modify nouns in a way that we describe it, like beautiful, beautiful laptop, or something like that. No, beautiful shirt. No, we try to describe the noun. No, like saying the words creative. It's creative. It's difficult. No, it always stay like something like that. Okay, so that's on adjectives. When it comes to adverbs, I've mentioned that we modify verbs, adjectives, or other adverbs here. That's an adverbs. One way to really to really give away if the word is an adverb or not. Usually an adverb, it uses the suffix ly. So there's quickly, there's clearly, there's professionally. Okay, all right. And the last one here is question words. So we include words, question sentences like what, who, where, even how, and why. So that's that. And here in question words, we form question, of course, and request specific info or information. So that's on question words, because when we talk about questioning, of course, we question something because we want to know something from it. We want to really get the information that we wanted to get. Okay? That's on question words. So when it comes to content words, these are words that are really part of speeches in a way that they have, they carry the core meaning of the sentence. And this includes part of speeches like noun, main verbs, adjectives, adverbs, as well as how do you call that, question words. Okay, all right, those are content words. Let's see the next slide. What are we going to do? So there are five. Yeah, let's look closely at these five sentences on the screen. So each one is doing more than just delivering information. It is carrying the rhythm. So it's balancing strong and soft sounds. It's guiding the listener through the key ideas by, of course, how do we do that? By placing stress where how do you call that? Where the meaning lives. Okay? That's on this particular how do you call the particular part of our discussion for a moment, everyone. Okay. All right. Going back to the sentences. How do you do this? So there are five sentences that I've included here. We are going to walk through these sentences, not just, of course, with our eyes, but with our ears most specifically, because we're talking about stresses here, sentence stresses specifically, where it, of course, leans on pronunciation. No, we're going to focus with our voices. So we try to see how we balance the strong and the weak sounds, or the ones that are highlighted or the ones that are not highlighted. So we're trying to guide you through the key ideas by placing stress where the meaning lives. Okay? Remember our rules. Content words, which is usually, it can be noun, it can be main verbs, it can be adjectives, or it can be adverbs, or it can be a question word. No? And these content words are, again, what? How do we do this? These are stressed. Okay? And this slide shows you exactly what that means. The red words are your stress anchors, the ones that get the clear, strong beat. So the rest of the sentence, of course, it flows around them. It is soft and supportive. The ones that are not highlighted, usually they are, they're called function words, which will be tackled later on after this, I think. Yes, so that is on function words, and they are, of course, we do not usually. We can say them, but not all the time. It's usually we are emphasizing or putting stress on the content words rather than the function words. But they are just as important as content words, because we cannot compare something, we cannot highlight something, we cannot put stress on something if there's no group of words or group of something that is not compared to it, that is not the opposite of it. No, we cannot say that we give more emphasis if there's no comparison, if there's no basis. No, there's no words that are not given stress at all. So this is function words is just as important as content words, no? Even though they are really not usually stressed. Okay? Let's try to go into these sentences and see what's how these content words are usually done. Let's start with the first sentence. The student wrote a brilliant essay yesterday. Okay? Now, student wrote a brilliant essay yesterday. So each word here has a purpose. Let's start with student. This is student. It's a content word. Student is what? What kind of part of speech? It is a noun. Okay? Because it tells us who in the sentence. Next, the word wrote. This is a verb. We understand that because it tells us what happened. That's verb or wrote. We have also had brilliant. Okay? It's what kind of part of species is brilliant? Like you're a brilliant you're a brilliant student. You wrote a brilliant essay yesterday. So brilliant is an adjective. It adds value. Okay? Essay. That's a noun. It gives us the object. Yesterday. It is an adverb which tells us when. Okay, that's on the content words. That's the sentence of that you've encountered. At the same time with our with someone that you know. Okay, all right. Student wrote brilliant essay yesterday. There's plenty of them in this sentence, and as you can see, there are words that are not highlighted. The words specifically are the and a. Okay. All right. So that's that. Okay. That's on content words again. That's the point. The content words carry the weight. Okay. That's the content word. Let's go next on the second sentence. The engineer designed a beautiful bridge in the valley. Here we focus again on the heavy hitters. We focus on engineer, which is of course the noun. It is talking about who designed. The word designed, it is a verb, like what action. There's also description and an adjective, beautiful. There's also another noun, bridge, which is what, and another noun, valley, or it could be an adverbial phrase, no, like where. Okay, let's try to practice reading this sentence. The engineer designed a beautiful bridge in the valley. Okay, um it's not that much. It's not too long. Okay, so we can do how we can really we can really put a more a closer look on the content words here. Okay, for number 3, we have the first content word is studied. This is what? This is a verb. Next is presentation. This is a noun. Final. Final. That's an adjective. It's describing the noun, which is the exam. That's the noun. Okay? All right. So these 4 words form the spine of the thought. So you can, try it slowly on your end. What I mean is try to read it on your end. Like she studied the presentation for her final exam. Okay? Everyone be reminded that when it comes to sentence stress, words, just like with word stress, the words here are not usually highlighting everything. You do it yourself. Okay? All right. Now notice again, it's not about making every word loud here. It's about letting the meaning rise. Okay. That's on, how do you call that? That's on the next, that's on the third sentence. Let's have the next one. I always drink coffee before writing my report. So that's, such a useful line for chunked rhythm. So we have always, which is an adverb, drink verb, coffee noun, writing, the act of writing, it's verb or it's gerund because it uses ing, and of course report. Okay, all right, that's that. I always drink coffee before writing my report. So that's the next, that's the idea, no? Okay, that's the idea. Our content words here are always, again, always, drink, even drink. Let's highlight it. Drink is also a content word in a way that it is a verb. Okay, it's an action word basically. Coffee is a noun. Writing is another. How do you call that? Um, this is another. How do you call that? This is another content word because it's a verb. No, it's the act of jotting down notes. That's writing, and then report is a noun. Okay, that's that. All right. And we have here the last sentence. The children were extremely creative with their drawing. So we focus on the words children, which again, this is a noun. Extremely also, you forgot that one. Extremely is a verb. Now again, adverb. I'm sorry, adverb. Now when we talk about adverb, the clue on it is there's something. How do you call that? I don't know what's that, but I've noticed about it when you get the door. Okay? Anyway, that's extremely, which is an adverb in a way, since we're focused on we're focused on, how do you call that? That's on adverb. Okay. When I say adverb, what's an adverb again? Adverbs are the ones that are ones that modify verbs, subjects, not subject, but adjectives as well as other adverbs. So it modifies verb, it modifies adjectives, and it modifies its own adverbs. Okay. All right. So the chicken were extremely creative with the speaking. Okay. All right. That's that. Okay. The children were extremely creative with their drawings. Children, again, it's the noun. Extremely, again, that's the adverb. That's the one that I edited or, really going to a place to see that. Okay. Extremely is an adverb. Again, one clue, one tip to see if the word is an adverb or not. Usually, not all the time. Usually, the word extremely is an example of adverb. There's like a suffix "ly" at the end. Okay, that's a suffix, of course. It's at the end, but yeah, extremely "ly." That's an adverb. Creative, creative, tiv. That's how to call that. Okay, all right. So that's that for the content words, and that's on how to call that. That's usually, again, content words are usually what? It is usually stressed. Okay, let's look at something for a moment, everyone. Let me just, go into my screen. Of course, we've understood what sentence stress already is, and we focused on content words here. And okay, I don't know if you've missed our friend here. The brain's back, headband on, dumbbell in hand, and that practice time sign held high like it means business. So, another day for our brain friend here. All right, it's time to put everything we've talked about into action. So, you've learned English has a rhythm, right? That we don't stress every word equally. So, some words rise, some just glide, which is usually done in a diphthong setting, but that's another topic for the day, okay? And now it's your turn to decide which ones matter the most, okay? Here's what will you do. I'll give you a sentence. You'll read it carefully and ask yourself, what are the key ideas here? Who or what is the sentence really about? What's happening? What's being described? No, then identify the content words, the words that carry among meaning, the ones you would say with strength and clarity. Okay, all right. So let's try to see if there's strength and clarity, even if you are speaking here, even if your hair is not really, what do you call that? Even if you were speaking this naturally, no, let's not focus on hair. If you were speaking this naturally, because hair is irrelevant. It's not something that's really connected to our topic. So again, the ones you would say with strength and clarity if you were speaking this naturally. Okay, think back to our chart: nouns, main verbs, adjectives, adverbs, and lastly, question words. So these are the words we usually stress. Everything she, little connector for words. How do you call that? Act like you did that, alright? Okay. So these are words that we usually stress. Everything else, little connector words, stay soft and unstressed. Okay? For a moment, everyone. Let's just see. Okay. Let me continue for a moment. Uh-huh. Okay. So again, we're going to continue with practice time. Um, Here, let's have before that, remember, of course, everyone, remember, this isn't about being fast, it's about being thoughtful. So, strong speakers think before they speak. That's a proper speaker. Okay, let's find that rhythm. First sentence here, she bought a ticket for the concert. Again, she bought a ticket for the concert. Before, I've already read it, but yeah, when it comes to this, let's try to ask, who is the sentence about? What action happened? What's the main thing being discussed? No, let's try to reflect more on the this thing, this particular aspect. Okay. From this sentence, we want to identify the content words, the words that carry the meaning. So use the list we practiced: nouns, main, verbs, adjectives and adverbs, if any, then question words, not in this case. Okay. So here in she bought a ticket for the concert, is she a content word? That's a pronoun, so that's not a content word. It's not part of speech. Okay? That's not a content word. She is a pronoun. The word she is a pronoun. So, since this is not a content word, we try to not highlight it. Okay? We try to not give emphasis on it because again, this is not a content word, so don't put emphasis in it. Okay? Next word is bought. What? Again, bought. Bought is the past tense of buy, and the act of buying is a verb. Okay? Verb. It's the main action. That's for the what word is it? Okay? That's on bought. But again, it's a verb, meaning it's a main action, so we stress on it. Let's highlight that one. So but is a word that we should highlight or we should stress. Next is again do we highlight this one? Is it, how do you call this, is it a content word? No, it is an article. Okay, so an article is not stressed. All right. Next word is ticket. This is the object, so we try to stress it because it's a noun. And of course, a little bit of treat. You can do that. Let's highlight ticket. Okay. All right. Four. That's not a how do you call it? That's not a content word because it's a preposition. No, so we unstress that one. Next is the. Okay, that's the. So that's content word. Not content word. It's a function word in itself. Okay. The content word is concert. Again, concert. It is a noun. It is a destination. So we try to stress it in this sentence. Okay. So let's just focus on your bags if that's possible. But yeah, since concert is a content word, we highlight that one for the first sentence. Again, let's try to recap. She is a pronoun, so not a content word and stressed. But is a verb, so main action, we stress it. Is an article, no? We unstress it. Not unstress. We unstress it, but she put a stress on it. No, she believes we can put a stress on it. Okay, all right. Next is for, which is a preposition, unstressed, and the they call it concert noun. Concert is a noun, right? Yeah. Okay, concert is a noun, so we hit that also. Okay. All right. Since concert is a destination, so that's a noun. All right. So let's read it together with a sentence stress. Let's try to put this one on. Let's try to highlight, capitalize that one because that's where the ticket goes. Okay. She bought a ticket for the concert. So there's only, how do you call this? There's only 3 content words here reflected. So let's try to really and add more so that we can be, you know, we can do the class. Okay? So final stressed words, going back, final stressed words here is bought, ticket, and concert. Okay? That's bought, ticket, and concert. Okay? All right. Let's see. She bought a ticket for the concert. Let's read it together with sentence stress. She bought a ticket for the concert. So this is how they usually, or they would naturally say it, with energy on the key ideas and flow through the test or through the rest. Okay. All right. She bought a ticket for the reason, for the concert. I'm sorry. Next, I read that book. I read that book in 2 days. Okay. All right. I is not how do you call it? I is not a content word in a way that it's a pronoun. And did we include pronoun in our chart earlier? No. So this is unstressed. Read, it's a what do you call that? It's a content word because that is specifically an action word. So read. This is the main verb. We stress on this. That. Okay, that's a determiner, so we do not stress it. Book, it's a noun, so we stress it. Let's highlight that one. That's a preposition, okay? All right. So that's the book. That's a noun. In, what do you think? In. Again, in. The word in. Well, in is a pronoun. Okay? If you remember. So in is a preposition. And did we include preposition in the chart or in the table? No. So this is not a content word. So let's just have that it look that way. Next is to. To. What do you think? Again, to. Okay, so that is a content word, most specifically an adjective one, a number adjective, no? So we try to stress on this. And lastly, we have days. Again, days. What's days? That's a noun, no? Days. That's a noun. So we stress this one. Okay. I read that book in 2 days. I read that book in 2 days. Okay? That's on the second sentence. All right. So there are actually more sentences that we have here that we can practice later on. But let's have this one as a starting activity for tomorrow's session because we've already hit the 1 hour mark. So let's try to end today's session with this one. Okay, I've already provided the first and the second sentences for our quick drill. The next 3 sentences is for tomorrow's session. Let's start with that so that I can really assess your progress. Okay, assess if you are following with me. Okay, you will answer only online. No, for later. Okay, for later. So this is the practice time still. And of course, our practice time, she bought a ticket for the concern. I can read a book in 2 days. No, there's so many content words that we can highlight or we can put in an emphasis in. Okay, all right. So that's it for today's session, everyone. That's a wrap up for today's session. We've all talked about another area of stress, which is on sentence stress. Again, on our previous sessions, we've talked about word stress. For today, we're going to talk about sentence stress. No? So stay tuned for more updates with me, especially with your idols or something like that for some people. But yeah, that's a wrap up for today. We are talking about sentence stress here, how it is important for our life, how English is stressed, how they call it stress time, that's syllabic time. And of course, we've talked about rule number 1, which is content word is equal to stress. So there are more rules that we're going to tackle for tomorrow's session. And I hope you will be having a great rest of the night. Now, this is our first session for the week, and I hope your presence is there. I can really feel you. Okay? Of course, especially on the following days. There are still 4 more days for the week, and we will cover a lot for those days. Tomorrow again we're going to continue with sentence stress. So this is gonna be, I don't know if there will be 2 to 3 sessions for this topic, because I, as much as possible, I really don't want to overwhelm you. So that's why I break it down to chunk, no, which is easier for you to, how do you call that, to absorb, no. So that's why. Okay, that's it for today's session, everyone. Good night. Thank you for being here, and have a great rest of the night ahead. Okay, goodbye.